As we head into Season 12, we're excited to share with you guys the best solo carry champions to climb in Ranked. We'll be covering 3 picks for each role who our analysts believe to possess the greatest ability to influence games on their own in the current meta. But before we get into it, be sure to check out SkillCapped if you want to truly get better at League of Legends. We're the only service that offers a money-back guarantee if you don't climb at least 5 divisions while actively using our service. We do this because our service really does work, and if it doesn't work for you, you shouldn't pay. Learn more at the end of this video or click the link in the description below. One top lane pick you can't go wrong with to start off Season 12 is Tahm Kench. A reliable laner, strong duelist, becomes super tanky, and can still output respectable damage. Tahm currently has a positive win rate against all 10 of his most common matchups, which is something you don't see very often. If you're having a difficult time dealing with lethal tempo top laners like Tryndamere, Aurelia, and Yone, then using Tahm as an answer is a great idea. Consistent damage from Q and passive, along with all the sustain from Doran's shield, grasp, and second wind, will allow you to thrive in lane. Shen is one of the few matchups that can give you some difficulties, so it's worthwhile to ban him out. Core build is a Frostfire Rush into Thornmail or Spirit Visage second, depending on the enemy composition. For runes, pick up Grasp with Shield Bash, Second Wind, and Unflinching. Triumph and Alacrity are the most optimal secondaries. A pick on the rise you need to be paying attention to for Season 12 is Uxin Top. A Q max is what's offering Uxin a ton of bully power and lane dominance. It's really easy to poke the enemy out with Q as they go for last hits, and due to the movement speed from hitting Q, it's very difficult for the enemy to catch you out. As you whittle away at the opponent's health bar and the enemy drops to lethal range, Uxin can punish mispositioning better than most champs. The long range from E allows you to completely zone the enemy off waves, and if they greedily move up too far, you'll pick up some easy kills. Matchup-wise, Uxin is proving to be a great answer to Jace, Yone, and Gangplank for solo queue. More difficult lanes include Aurelia and Jax, as their gap close combined with CC can do a good job at nullifying Uxin's ranged advantage. For that reason, banning Aurelia or Jax will suit you well. The new build picking up traction as of recent is a Shield Bow Rush into Cyrilda's Grudge second and Fire Cannon third. There are many viable builds for Uxin currently though, as Kraken into the Collector and Infinity Edge works great if you want something more offensive. Press the Attack is the most common keystone, while First Strike is heavily underrated in easy melee matchups where you can proc the rune consistently. To round out the top lane picks, our third solo carry recommendation is Shen. With the lethal tempo top lane meta in full effect, there are few better options than Shen to shut them down. Yone, Jax, and Aurelia are 3 of Shen's most common meta matchups, and due to the block effect from Shen W, he can take away so much of their strength. Let's not forget Frostfire and Sunfire were buffed a few patches back, while objective bounties were introduced, being 2 massive indirect boosts in power for Shen. Mordekaiser is a good ban to consider due to Shen W having less of an impact in the matchup. Most high elo Shen players run Ignite to apply extra early game pressure, which then leads to a huge snowball as you ult bot lane at level 6 to get your entire team ahead. Build for Shen is a Frostfire or Sunfire Rush into Titanic Hydra second and Thornmail third. Best rune page is Grasp with Shield Bash, Second Wind, and Revitalize. Cheap Shot and Ultimate Hunter are the most optimal secondaries. The Ruined King has been a dominant jungle force throughout most of Season 11, and Season 12 starts off on the exact same foot. Viego was recently indirectly buffed due to Conqueror changes, so he's in an even stronger state than before. Viego is an all-around solo carry specialist, as his skirmish power is off the charts, which is so important for solo queue. All it takes is that one kill where you can acquire a Mist Wraith, get a reset on ultimate, and begin wreaking havoc. There are a bunch of viable builds depending on preference and situation. Shield Bow into Essence Reaver and Infinity Edge is the all-out offensive setup. For more durability against bruisers or tankier comps, Divine Sunderer into Blade of the Ruined King and Sterix works great. Shield Bow into Blade and Death's Dance is a hybrid of the two, where it's a mix of offense and durability. For runes, pick up Conqueror with Triumph, Alacrity, and Last Stand. Magical Footwear and Cosmic Insight are the best secondaries. Remove the ego from Viego, and you have our second solo carry jungler of 12.1. Vi had a tough time throughout most of Season 11, but thanks to Arcane's release, Riot gave her some solid buffs, which brought her back into meta. Similar to Viego, Vi is a really potent skirmish, especially once you have Q maxed out. A long-range mobility spell with crowd control on a 4-second cooldown allows you to be extremely effective throughout fights. The guaranteed lockdown from Vi Ultimate lets you easily punish mispositioning, which is very rewarding for solo queue. There's a couple options in regards to builds for 12.1. The standard, most consistent build is a Divine Sunderer Rush into Sterix second and Black Cleaver third. If you're snowballing early and up against a squishy comp, then a lethality build with Eclipse, the Collector and Essence Reaver performs very well. Keystone rune is Hail of Blades, followed by Sudden Impact, Eyeball Collector, and Relentless Hunter. Triumph and Alacrity are the go-to secondaries. The most efficient jungler if you want some quick and easy elo for Season 12 is Nunu. The spam gank playstyle has become even more effective in Season 12 as reliance on Scuttle Crab has dropped off. Being able to focus less on Crab and more on early ganking is perfect for Nunu. As a low econ jungler who doesn't rely on resources as much as other picks, the nerfs to Crab don't hurt Nunu as much. Nunu's Mythic in Sunfire was buffed a few patches back, so he's benefited way more than most junglers heading into Season 12. After Sunfire, you pick up Deadman's Plate and follow with Spirit Visage or Thornmail depending on enemy composition. Most optimal rune page is all about movement speed, as you'll grab Phase Rush with Nimbus Cloak, Celerity, and Water Walking. Triumph and Tenacity work best for secondaries. We've finally seen a significant shakeup in the mid lane meta over the past few weeks, and Victor has without a doubt led the way. Crown of the Shattered Queen introduction has been a major factor in Victor's rise. One of Victor's core weaknesses was his inability to stand up to mobile assassins. With Crown passive providing damage reduction along with 450 health being added to Victor's core build, he can function so much better. Vic's early game is still exploitable, but once you hit 2 items, it's practically game over. First Strike rune allows you to farm extra gold early on and hit that spike even quicker. High mobility assassins can still give Vic some issues, so banning Zed or Kassadin is a smart play. The complete core build is Crown into Cosmic Drive 2nd and Zanya's or Shadow Flame 3rd. For runes, grab First Strike with Freeboots Biscuits and Cosmic Insight. Secondaries include Manifold Band and Transcendence. What do you know? Our second mid lane solo carry is another Crown of the Shattered Queen abuser. Kassadin draws into our top 3 as he's become even stronger due to the recent Archangel's buff. Crown passive on Kassadin with 3 items feels really unfair to play against, as you can one-shot an opponent before they have time to deal a smidge of damage back. At least before, you could punish Kassadin's squishy nature if he jumped into the middle of a teamfight, but that's not the case anymore due to Crown. You can play so aggressively, dive right in, one-shot your target, and get out with little to no wear. AD Assassins are the only class of champions giving Cass some struggles right now, so banning Zed or Kiana is a good idea. Prime core build is a Crown Rush, followed by Archangel's 2nd and Zanya's 3rd. Don't sleep on a Frozen Heart Rush, though, when up against a full AD enemy composition. Our analysts have picked up on an interesting new keystone option for Cass, being First Strike. It's gained a ton of traction just in this last patch, and is a great pickup in melee matchups. Cass scales insanely well with items and levels, so the synergy with First Strike is not to be undermined. Electro and Fleet remain solid alternatives as well, so you have many choices depending on preference. And to round out the solo carry mids, we have another premier mage being Lux. Lux and Vic are both excellent picks to add to your champion pool for Season 12. If you enjoy a burstier catch style instead of consistent damage threat, then you should side with Lux over Victor. Lux buffs a few months ago were the ignition for her rise, and she hasn't looked back since. Ultimate cooldown being so low now allows you to capitalize on picks from Q more often, which has a massive influence on how games transpire. Throw down a Yasuo or Kassadin ban and you're going to have a great time against most other meta mids. Lux's long range combined with the lockdown from Q lets her thrive into the shorter range champs we see in meta like Corki, Yone, and Victor. The core build is Illuden's or Crown Rush into Horizon Focus 2nd and Zanya's or Rabadon's 3rd. Roll with Comet as the keystone, followed by Mana Flow, Transcendence, and Gathering Storm. Best secondary page is Cheap Shot and Ultimate Hunter. Vayne's going to pick up right where she left off in Season 11 as the #1 solo carry Marksman. We've had Vayne on top of our list for a while now, so it's really no secret as to why she's rated so highly. A strong lethal tempo user who thrives in the current landscape where Enchanter supports are being spammed in solo queue. As a scaling ADC, you have a very high % chance of winning games at 2 items with a Lulu or Soraka on your team. For some reason, Shield Bow into Wit's End is a build that still exists and allows Vayne to be extra durable while having enough damage to annihilate everything in her path. Phantom Dancer can replace Wits in games where the enemy comp is less AP heavy. Lethal Tempo is the no-brainer keystone pickup with Triumph, Alacrity, and Coup de Grace. Taste of Blood and Ravenous Hunter continue to outperform as secondaries. Another premier Lethal Tempo ADC takes home our second spot for 12.1, being Jinx. Jinx and Vayne are loving the current meta, as they're extremely deadly when paired with enablers. The duo win rate of Jinx with Sona, Soraka, and Lulu are all above 53%, which is pretty nuts. There are two amazing builds going around for Jinx, one being a teamfight oriented build, and one more single target focused. Kraken into Hurricane and Infinity Edge is great into tankier comps. Gale Force followed by Fire Cannon and Infinity Edge is optimal when against squishies or heavier dive. As for runes, you'll grab Lethal Tempo with Presence of Mind, Bloodline, and Coup de Grace. Magical Footwear and Biscuits are the best secondaries. Jhin has very quietly become the most played ADC in solo queue, as he's one of the most reliable picks for 12.1. There are very few ADCs who are useful in other ways than damage, but Jhin is an outlier. The pick potential and long-range follow-up is so impactful for solo queue. If you intend on playing Jhin, just make sure to ban out Vayne. Vayne's consistent damage coupled with durability from Shield Bow makes it hard for Jhin to go toe-to-toe, as Vayne outlasts you in extended fights. Gale Force is by far Jin's best mythic, as it makes up for his lack of mobility. The Collector second and Fire Cannon third round out the core build. Fleet and Dark Harvest both have a place as keystones depending on preference. For more kiting power and sustain, Fleet is the pick, whereas you'll have that extra pop and burst potential from Harvest. The best aggro support you can play to start off Season 12 is Blitzcrank. With all the annoying enchanters on top of the meta, Blitz is one of the best to shut them down. Lulu and Lux are absolutely dominant at the moment and the most picked supports, but Blitz is one of the few who's seeing positive results against them. Blitz, Shield Breaker, and Mechanic from Ultimate and Pick Power are two major reasons to why he's so lethal into enchanters. The roam power on Moby Boots completion is another huge benefit Blitz has in his repertoire. Hit a couple hooks in lane to get your AD ahead, roam mid off reset to get your mid kill, and you'll have the enemy team calling support diff in no time. Builds for Blitz are all over the place right now, as you can succeed with Locket, Shurelya's, or even Shroud as the mythic. As a general rule of thumb, Locket is best in a burstier comps, Shurelya's when popping off early, and even Shroud is solid for most scenarios. Even after the Predator nerfs, it's holding up as a powerful option. It really depends on your kind of playstyle, as Predator is heavier roam focus, while Aftershock is best for laning. One of the strongest enchanters to add to your arsenal for 12.1 is Lulu. Lulu's synergy with the most picked ADCs is incredibly strong, while enabling the meta fighters in other roles is giving her a ton of strength. The utility Lulu provides is extremely impactful, as her shields and health growth keep carries alive, while Polymorph shuts down dive champs' effectiveness by a large margin. As long as you're focused on playing around your most fed carry and making sure they stay alive, you'll be winning a ton of games with Lulu. Shurelya's is your mythic item, with Chemtech Putrifier slotted in second and Ardent Sensor third. Guardian and Aerie are equally strong as rune choices depending on the situation. Against hard engaged supports, running Guardian offers some valuable extra durability, while Aerie is most optimal in double ranged matchups. Soraka is our final feature to round it all out, and she's a highly valuable pick in meta for the same reasons as Lulu. An enabler for the hyperscaling ADC meta who also bodes extremely well in tandem with fighters being played top and jungle. As long as you don't fall miserably behind early on, your consistent impact will be so much greater than most supports. Providing a meta ADC like Vayne with constant heals allows for legitimate 2v5 potential in the mid game. Soraka's build consists of a Moonstone Rush into Redemption 2nd and Warmog's 3rd. The healing potential from this build is just absolutely insane. Guardian into more aggressive bot lane duos, while Aerie is best suited in more passive lanes where you're unlikely to get caught out. To really amp your survivability, you can run Barrier as the secondary summoner, and in combination with Guardian and Bone Plating, it helps you squeeze past more difficult lanes. Alright guys, before we wrap this up, let's tell you a little more about SkillCapped. So, we offer a 5-division rank up guarantee, and think that's a pretty crazy thing to offer. It's like a gym membership guaranteeing you'll get ripped. Your local gym would go bust if they offered that, right? Not us. We've offered this for years because our service really does work. It works so well, in fact, that we're able to produce by far the largest catalog of premium league guides on the internet. We add over 20 videos a week, with over 1,600 guides curated into over 100 courses no one can compare. We've also sent Challenger players into ELO Hell 714 times and counting, where they commentate how to carry live. They also respond to all questions asked. Sign up today for as little as $4.99 a month if you are serious about improving. With all that being said, good luck with your rank journey in Season 12, and we hope to see you back soon.